population of Muslims of India is 218 million right now. Out of 280 million, 80% of them are below poverty line. They work hard and they earn less than $1 a day.
Whether it be education, whether it be healthcare, whether it be social welfare, whether it be religious type of work, we are the only ones in states. IMRC is the only organization that is providing complete services from birth to death.
There's no overhead. There's no other charity, to my knowledge, which gives 100% of the donation back.
Welcome to the 58th Annual ISNA Convention. Reimagine and rebuild with renewed resolve.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, is Preacher Moss, better known as Mr. ISNA. Now listen, brothers and sisters, I hope that you are ready for an entertainment extravaganza. We have international flavor here on the entertainment night. Brothers and sisters, you know this is the 2021 ISNA virtual conference. And what would be an ISNA conference without brothers and sisters having entertainment that's top flight? Our first entertainer gives us a little of that European, that English flavor, if you will. I'm talking about none other than Kashmir Miriam, who is an author. She's a spoken word poet. As well, she is an advocate. I don't know if you know about her program, which is called Woke Women, which really focuses on empowering what I want to say is marginalized creative Muslim women, getting their work out, their passion projects. Very, very important. As well, she's written a book. You know what that book is called, brothers and sisters? It is called The Muslim Woman's the Muslim Woman Manifesto, not a guide. The Muslim Woman Manifesto to Achieving Phenomenal Results in 10 steps on both sides, where she talks about a Muslim woman being very effective, and then she talks about you being a Muslim woman and being effective. You can catch her podcast on Apple Podcasts, which is My Muslim Voice, and the other one that she does along with her sister is Woke Woman, a podcast for creative Muslim women. So without further ado, Sister Kashmir Miriam, thank you so much for blessing us on the show. Brothers and sisters, put on your seatbelts. We are going to be entertained and enlightened. Without further ado, Kashmir Miriam. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to ISNA's annual 58th convention. I am so excited to be sharing with you some poetry in today's entertainment session. I hope that you have been enjoying all the sessions up until this point, and also everything that is going on tomorrow too, inshallah. Definitely tune in for all of that. I know that we have an amazing program lined up for you all. So yeah, you're probably wondering who I am. So just briefly, my name is Kashmir and I am a spoken word poet. I am also the author of two published books, Nafsi Jihad Upon Myself, and this is a little bit of a shameless plug, disclaimer. So Nafsi Jihad Upon Myself was my first book, and it's a collection of poetry. I talk about themes relating to the nafs and the spiritual struggle that we go through and the battle we go through against our own base self. So the spiritual and soul struggle that we experience. And that's basically Nafsi Jihad Upon Myself. And the second book that I wrote is more in the self-help genre. So it focuses more on how Muslim women can help themselves in terms of their spiritual goals, but also in terms of their worldly goals too, because I am such a strong believer in the idea that we do not have to sacrifice our worldly goals in order for us to aspire for greater in the hereafter. And I pray that Allah accepts that from us. The subtitle is 10 Steps to Achieving Phenomenal Success in Both Worlds. So if you are interested in any of these books, I'm not sure if I showed you the Muslim Woman's Manifesto, but yeah, they are available on Amazon.com, and the audiobook, I believe, is now available too on Amazon. So if listening to books is your thing, then you can also do that too, inshallah. Okay, on that note, the second book that I wrote, The Muslim Woman's Manifesto, was inspired by my co-founding of an organization called the Strangers Org. And the Strangers is essentially dedicated to clearing up misconceptions about Islam through the art of spoken word poetry. It was founded by my sister Aisha, and I've been working with her very closely on that. And we have built out another component of the Strangers called Woke Woman. And Woke Woman is so precious to both, Aisha and I, because it's how we connect one-on-one to our Muslim sisters. We talk about how to use creativity in, coming from a vulnerable place and a very underrepresented field such as creativity. We talk about how we can build that out, if that is a hobby, if someone writes poetry just for the sake of it, how they can actually create a career from that, and how they can actually become a writer if they're not already, or if they're aspiring authors. So yeah, we work one-on-one, we do coaching and mentorship with our sisters, and the ultimate goal is really to empower the community through providing a platform for our sisters. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely connect with us. We'd love to hear from you. And without any further ado, let me talk about the actual poetry that I will be doing in today's session, inshallah. So, as you all know, the theme of this year's convention is called Reimagine, Rebuild with Renewed Resolve. I had to read that because it's a little bit of a tongue twister, but I can't tell you how passionate I am about this particular theme. When I heard it, I thought, wow, if there was ever a time that was most relevant, it is now. In the wake of everything that is going on in the world. As you all know, we are in a global pandemic, and I pray that we are reaching the end of that, inshallah. But people have been going through a lot in the world. Their struggles are sometimes unheard of, and a lot of people are feeling despair and sadness and going through challenges and hardships. And this poem, I hope, encapsulates some of those emotions and those feelings that we have been experiencing in the wake of this pandemic and all of the events that have been going on as a consequence of that. So yeah, without any further ado, I'm just gonna read the poem, inshallah, and I hope that you can derive some benefit from it. I pray that it connects with you on a deeper level, and that it speaks to your soul and the experiences that you're going through, and that's the goal of poetry, and I pray that does this for you. So just before I actually go into the poem, it is divided into two segments. So the first one is inspired by a quote by J.K. Rowling, and she's a great inspiration for me as a writer, because for anyone who is familiar with her story pre-Harry Potter, she went through a lot of difficulty and hardship in her life, and she calls it rock bottom. And I was listening to an interview where she said that rock bottom became a solid foundation upon which I could build. And I thought it was so powerful and so moving that I had to include that in the first segment of the poetry tonight, because I feel like that is what many of us are experiencing right now, rock bottom. And the only way to go from rock bottom is up, inshallah. So for anyone who is listening to this and who is going through difficulty and hardship, please know that you're not alone. Know that there are people out there who care for you and who are waiting to hear from you so that they can help and support you in any way that they can. And I hope that this poem is some form of an inspiration or a healing in that process for you. Okay, so without any further ado, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Part 1. Rock bottom becomes a solid foundation upon which I build. This past year, I learned something. that I didn't appreciate before. From the sword to the pen, through the ink black to the page white, from rage crimson comes roses rouge like poetry potent in all hues, because when power and purpose lose, so does the human and his hereafter too. They say that there is power in purpose. Purpose in divinely inspired decree, in every obstacle that obliterates the human and all he or she knows to be the norm, the established, the war-torn, the emergency room, the grave. The tale that lives beyond the raspy throat, the sickness that breeds in the heart before it catches the limbs, the voice of reason. In a world of disease, of slaves that somehow believe that they are free, servants of a Lord full of mercy, yet very few will ask, will strive, will bleed for a cause beyond the self. Selfie is what has taken egos from prostration to self-adoration. Hunger for fame is the new disease, cloaked in the robe of piety and preachers. The greatest lesson is in the bitterest teachers, because whatever takes teaches gratitude, and whatever gives will eventually come back to reclaim it. And this is why the soul constantly questions its purpose in the lurch for meaning, in the quest for direction, a wayfarer not so far away from its final destination, yet we somehow believe that life is eternal. That belief is external. That liberation is lonely. That emancipation is pixie dust, but dust is where we come from. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير، الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. We often say life and death, but in this verse it is death first, then life. So if I think about what must happen to me, to the brown leaves departing their glorious family trees, to the cracked seed in the bitter winter earth, and the brittle knees of grandparents we thought we'd always see, I remember that death must come before life. And if that means the death of the ego before the life of the soul, or the death of my self-conceited motivations before the life of self-sacrifice, what if? What if I will never understand life unless I live it backwards? What if I will never understand my shadow until the light has been stripped and I am worthy of it to follow me? What if I am waiting beneath 3 layers of darkness to be listened to, head buried in the belly of the beast, my palms raised to a region somewhere far, far in the east? I invoke La ilaha illa ant, subhanaka inni kuntu min al-dhalimin. There is none worthy of worship except you. Glory to you. Indeed, I have been of the transgressors. And I must remember that I will only receive a trial that my soul can bear, that roses can only be picked by the hand unafraid of thorns, that we must navigate the path back to my Lord by accepting that reward can only come after the examination. And what is this life except an oasis for a traveler? A dusty mirage as our eyes see only a limited spectrum of light. I recline upon my soul for an insightful vision to know your status with Allah. Look without eyes at the heart buried 6 feet deep in that sturdy wall of a chest. What makes it swell with life except when it is watered by the well of remembrance of the divine? So do not make your homes into graveyards, and do not make your vessels without water. Keep pouring, because you will empty, but he will restore you. The one who blew life into your soul knows the nature and all that you desire calls you to, but death is the reality, the eventuality, the effect before the cause, and the undeniable truth. Death, rock bottom, the solid foundation upon which I can build. Okay, so that was the first part of the poem. And good news, alhamdulillah, part 2 is a lot more positive and hopeful, and focuses on this idea of where we go once we hit rock bottom. How can we resurge? How can we rebuild with a renewed resolve? So yeah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Have you ever heard of the Japanese concept of kintsugi? It is to repair broken pottery using gold, because there is beauty in imperfection. It is the pain we feel deepest that moves within us a swelling ocean, ready to rupture all self-doubt, but the foot is not yet tall enough to fit the shoe, and only trial after trial will grow the buried seed. But when it surfaces from the earth, you will see in its most decorated form, from the earth we come, and to it we shall return. What is broken when the bones are whole? Within each solidified construct is always a hollow center, either full of marrow or sorrow or hopes of tomorrow. And what is broken does not always bleed, but it always heals. And when I think of the Prophet's sandals in Ta'if, when our mother Aisha radiallahu anha asked him, what was the hardest day, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and he said the day of Ta'if. Heavy on the heart, rejection and persecution are harder than physical torture. And in the midst of war, survival becomes the instinct. In the midst of pain, relief is what the limbs seek most. And in the midst of drought, it is the heavens releasing rain, and in the eye of the tornado, it is to move with this form, to bend and twist with power and chivalry, for life is precious, because it is on a timed meter. And if this past year has taught us anything, it is the fragile nature of the body, but the resilience of the spirit, the soul, the essence of us all. Yet the thing we most deprive, the thing that differentiates between the dead heart and the live, beating, flourishing, luscious and gold branches raised to the heavens like a good word from the servant that supposes the best of his Lord. So when the enemies come with their swords and daggers, and the trenches are dug and the battle lines are drawn, the nafs knows exactly what it should do. When sorrow finds itself stuck in your throat like a coarse piece of bread, not fully chewed, not yet digested, it just proliferates like a biblical loaf from the hand of a prophet, an oath broken into shards, ready to rip away all patience you thought you possessed. Then let your muscles rest, because your limbs must accept the test. And it will be taken whether or not you submit is the decision of your soul. And the earth, all the earth, and its inhabitants could not prevent you from a calamity that was written for you. So come willingly or unwillingly, you will arrive. The pens are lifted and the ink is dry. And when each trial issues its blow, I'd rather that this life test me before Munkar and Nakir, because by design the absence of mercy in these angels is enough to shiver any spine. Any spine that fears its Lord as it should, that shall bend when his shin reveals itself, and the self-reproaching soul reminisces over why. So when the enemy calls to racial superiority, and an ocean away, a black man in America dies under the knee of the one entrusted to protect him, yes, we should know what happens when a race of people undergo brutality. Because ethnically they were not born from a Jew, ethnically their skin was their sin, ethnically they were too dark to be respected, too black to be begotten in this racially charged world. So when the skies rock with man-made thunder and the earth pleads because of the sin upon sin that man has committed to upon her soil, and not a single thing weeps when the tyrant chokes on his dying wish, when all the world was begging, I cannot breathe. And then we were hit by a global pandemic, a disease that targets the lung, and now, oh how the world surely cannot breathe, even with air tanks for alveoli. To American expats in holy lands, to Afghan children hopscotching over grenades with one human leg and one prosthetic leg. Kite runners, we chase freedom frantically in the skies when the rocks have betrayed us, when the mountains have no more caves in which we can escape to. When revelation is found on a dusty shelf and Iqra, read, hits me like a bomb. Bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, in the name of your Lord who created. And my heart is shattered because all it took was to remember my Creator, and there I found peace in the midst of conflict. Thank you so much for being patient with me throughout my poetry. I pray that it benefits you in some way, that you can take some kind of an inspirational message away from my words. Anything good is from Allah, and any flaw or mistake is from Shaitan. So I ask you to please forgive me if anything that I said did not resonate with you well, but I pray that you enjoyed it overall. And I look forward to the following sessions coming up tomorrow, inshallah. Don't forget to tune in, and I would like to say a big thank you to everyone involved in this virtual conference. So much work goes into producing this, and the video content and just the technical side of things. So Jazakallah khair from the bottom of my heart to the whole ISNA crew, to everyone who tuned in tonight, and to everyone who made this possible, as far as the organizers and the volunteers. Jazakallah khair from the bottom of my heart, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, family. We are back. So listen, our next flavor, if you will, I have to give them a little love. These guys have been around since 1996. 1996. Two names, brothers and sisters, that should be associated with pioneering Islamic and what I want to say, halal rap all around the world, especially in the UK. Two names, Rakim Fatuga and my main man, Ishmael Lee South, both of them, my West Indian brothers. Listen, these guys formed a group called Mecca to Medina way back in the day with another guy named Imran Kazi. And what they did, brothers and sisters, was create a sound and a movement and a space for young Muslims to hear about positivity through their religion and religious identity. They were amazing, brothers and sisters, and I don't want to overlook the fact that, you know, we're about to see something we haven't seen in a while. I haven't seen these brothers perform in a while, and with good reason. They're doing good things like the Salam Project, Save Our Boys, and they'll probably tell you something about that. But these guys are performers, and I want you to make sure that you understand that you're watching a little bit of history here on ISNA Entertainment Night. Do I know them? Yes. Do I vouch for them? Yes. Brothers and sisters, they started out making hip-hop beats for the Muslims, the conservative Muslims. And then they expanded and started making music for the Muslims and the non-Muslims. with the same flair of positivity and hope. And I just want to say, really, really empowering people to believe whatever your situation was, they could do better. It could be bigger and better for the environment and the community. So put your hands together. Welcome to our show, brothers and sisters, Mecca to Medina.
Assalamu alaikum, all of to the ISNA crew.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah, we are
Mecca to Medina.
And we are an Islamic rap group. And
In the UK.
In the UK, we also do spoken word and reggae as well. So this is my beloved brother, Rakeen, who's the founder of Mecca to Medina.
And this is Ismail, the co-founder of Mecca to Medina. Alhamdulillah, we are very happy to be here with you. Hope that you enjoy and listen to the lyrics. What you know about us is that our lyric has content. Enjoy the content. Assalamu alaikum. The first track that we're going to do is
Don't Diss the Prophet. And this is a track that we performed to show respect to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as we know, there's a lot of Islamophobia around. So instead of acting negatively towards it, we wrote a rap in celebrating the works and the deeds of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In response to the dunce articles, statements and cartoons, we're defending Prophet Muhammad with this tune depicted with negativity in society out of order. You don't know his manners and you don't know his character. He showed love to his foes and adversaries, initiated race relations, respecting ladies, worshipping one God in peace was his consensus. Salutations to Moses, Mary and Jesus. Polite, truthful, humble and trustworthy. Here to set the record straight, not controversy. Written in the Gospel Torah, Book of Isaiah. Purification of the self was his desire. He never killed innocent women and children, home or abroad. Totally submitted to the will of his Lord. Some Muslims give him a bad name and shame. The walking Quran came to heal the pain.
Don't diss the prophet, don't disrespect. Reflect before you say what you might regret.
Don't diss the prophet in the media or the pulpit. His life and the deeds you sweep under the carpet.
Don't diss the prophet, don't disrespect. Reflect before you say what you might regret.
Don't diss the prophet in the media or the pulpit. His life and the deeds you sweep under the carpet.
Don't diss the prophet, come off it, you need to stop it, it's not worth it. Creating enmity for profit or for status. You're dealing with the man who was the greatest loved by man, hated by the hypocrites and the haters. No pictures of the prophet and nothing photographic. We don't worship man, we worship he who is terrific. The one who sent him to the universe, the same one who blessed me with the lyrical verse. If you disrespect the prophet, your enemies with Allah, wallahi. If you do that, there's no protector. The Prophet Muhammad, the beloved worldwide, his name purified, inner soul purified. If you disrespect the Prophet Muhammad, that's evil, that acts medieval, your cause upheaval. He's the most loved man who walked the planet Earth, loved by angels, blessed was the day of his birth. Don't diss the prophet, don't disrespect. Reflect before you say what you might regret.
Don't diss the prophet in the media or the pulpit. His life and the deeds you sweep under the carpet.
Don't diss the prophet, don't disrespect. Reflect before you say what you might regret.
Don't diss the prophet in the media or the pulpit. His life and the deeds you sweep under the carpet. This is for the teachers, preachers and journalists, directors, theologians, politicians in the midst. They might diss the prophet on a regular basis. Diligently, yeah, we have to counteract this. I do my research with urgent zest. Check the biography and guide to goodness. Al-Shifa, known as a medication. When we learn about his life method application.
Do you know him? His name is Rasulullah, the key to Jannah, the prophet and beloved of Allah. He brought civilization to a nation corrupt, a nation that was ill, spiritually bankrupt. If you upset the prophet, then you anger Allah. Astaghfirullah, you must be ill, need a counselor. You're dealing with a man that lived for justice, so don't disrespect the Prince of Righteousness. Don't diss the prophet, don't disrespect. Reflect before you say what you might regret.
Don't diss the prophet in the media or the pulpit. His life and the deeds you sweep under the carpet.
Don't diss the prophet, don't disrespect. Reflect before you say what you might regret.
Don't diss the prophet in the media or the pulpit. His life and the deeds you sweep under the carpet.
Yeah, Bismillah. Yeah, this is dedicated to Malcolm X. He's a leader of a whole generation, by any means necessary. Yeah, now he died a martyr. May Allah raise his station. Yeah. This is dedicated to Malcolm X, a rebel for the cause, nothing complex. Oh Allah, please bless us with the station he has. Malcolm X, aka Malik El Shabazz. This is dedicated to Malcolm X, a rebel for the cause, nothing complex. Oh Allah, please bless us with the station he has. Malcolm X, aka Malik El Shabazz. Magnificent wordplay and vocabulary. When he was in jail, he read the whole dictionary. He was a revolutionary, visionary. Spent time in solitary, but they couldn't break the spirit. When you hear it, his words, you know you heard the truth. Other people fear it. When they hear his words, they can't bear it. Malcolm X wets the minds of intellects, resurrects the projects with knowledge from the holy text. Connects with the layman with an A plan. Brings them out of ignorance to the sheikhs of Sudan. Malik Al Shabazz, a martyr for the cause, a rebel without a pause like the Moors. He was sincere and spoke the truth, but evil killed him. A villain turned one in a million. This is dedicated to Malcolm X, a rebel for the cause, nothing complex. Oh Allah, please bless us with the station he has. Malcolm X, aka Malik El Shabazz. This is dedicated to Malcolm X, a rebel for the cause, nothing complex. Oh Allah, please bless us with the station he has. Malcolm X, aka Malik El Shabazz.
Our enemies get vexed, complex when you mention Malcolm X, a visionary, a student of the Quranic text. Father got battered and shattered from the cowards wearing the hood. Mother came in from the pressure, trying the best she could. Became an A-class student, aspiring to be a lawyer. Deterred by racist word from a racist teacher. Switched to crime, gangsterism, also big pimping. Dapper suited and booted with guns ready for blazing. Got sidetracked, hijacked by police on a mission. Sent to prison, where he became known as Satan. Knowledge of self was the flex emotion. That's when he joined the NOI organization. Wonders would never cease upon his release. Relentless in exposing the satanic beast. Left them, made the holy pilgrimage they call Hajj. Now known to the world as Malik Al-Hajj Shabazz. He wanted to link us to truth and consciousness in the West. Purposely shot dead before the truth was manifest.
This is dedicated to Malcolm X, a rebel for the cause, nothing complex. Oh Allah, please bless us with the station he has. Malcolm X, aka Malik El Shabazz. This is dedicated to Malcolm X, a rebel for the cause, nothing complex. Oh Allah, please bless us with the station he has. Malcolm X, aka Malik El Shabazz.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Descendants of Bala.
You know, we're descendants of Bilal. M. Don't you know? It is. We're descendants of Bilal with being a know-how. The caller to the prayer, he came to show how to worship Allah, shown by his teacher, the preacher, who had the perfect speech to reach ya. 5 times a day, the Sahabas would obey the call to pray. They would respond straight away. And even today, the descendants of Bilal bring the message of Islam to the West and far away. Dropping science in books and in hip-hop. Check Anta Diop brought the knowledge non-stop. Uthman and Fodio brought the road to Kano. And Mahdi of Sudan was the man with the plan. Sheikh Abdul Hakim quick brings the thick real quick. Imam Siraj were hard, were large and in charge. Sheikh Babika, the master of the dhikr. And Imam Zayd Shakir explains the deen real clear.
We're descendants of the slave trade. Psycho brutality, stripped of culture, religion and sanity. We're coming to Islam by the millions. Quran and Sunnah, no backward village traditions. Saying Allah is one in adversity. Purifying our hearts, Tawheed is unity in the presence. There's mass conversions, even though the enemy are scheming that diversion.
We're descendants of Bilal, to Allah we pray and bow. Forbidden the haram, calling all to the halal. We call to the deen, the salat and mustaqim. We fear no man, only he who is supreme. You can find us in Sudan, Somalia, Nigeria, Gambia, Senegal, Mali, Chad and Ghana, and Morocco, Trinidad and Tobago. All over the states, New York, Chicago.
The circle, and even the halakha. I hear disrespect of Bilal of Abyssinia, the first muezzin, the caller to prayer, governor of Shams, today known as Syria. Allah is one in the face of torture among the Sahaba. He was the treasurer. He made hijrah immigration to his nation. Hospitality brought ease to the companions. People don't know Bilal's personality, descendant of Abyssinian nobility. The Prophet had his footsteps in the heaven. He showed appreciation for the ablution. Reference to Bilal since blood and octave. Brother, you know Bilal, he was a black slave. I gotta show blessings to the companions who worked hard against all the tribulations.
We're descendants of Bilal.
حبك يا بلال بقلب كل مؤمن أهديت يا بلال إلى الصراط المستقيم
This is my poem dedicated to everyone at ISNA. We stand firm with natural hair, not perm. Spiritual warfare, salat, no fear. In this world of bitterness and torment, there's only one way to go, and that's the way the Rasul went. All out, the spiritualists, they call out Adhan 5 times a day. We pray so we won't fall out. Inshallah, I remember when I first took my shahada, bearing witness, there's no other. A'udhu billahi minash shaitan regime. Try to stay clear, better keep our nose clean. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. No need to fear when Allah's on the scene. Lord of mercy on those that blaspheme. Try to intervene when Allah's on the scene. You can't mask yourself up like your mask green, cause He knows you're better than your bloodstream. Seen. You know them ways their blood. When you're rolling with Allah, you know the flex ain't dud. What? Judge not, you shall not be judged. Grudge not, you shall not be budged. To make blood is diabolical. Shaitan's army's kind of chronicle. Working systematic slavery, psychological. Making us deny Allah and the mystical. Making us dances to the facts that be logical. Set narcotics, alcoholic chemicals. Making us pathetic, schizophrenic, cynical. Salam alaikum to the Prophet and the angelical. Please give us intercession when the time is critical.
Boy, enough people don't realise they're going to be held to account for the sins they commit in this life.
Boy, you know, I got the word lessons in my back. I just hope I can get forgiven, you know.
The all-seeing, all-hearing, all-knowing supreme being, be in control of every single atom on the planet. Smooth miraculously through the galaxy harmony. 100% proof of creation is truly evident. Prophets were God sent not to invent, but prevent the lack of morals spreading a course like cement. Magnificent like the eclipse, get to grips with the last apocalypse. The Quran that is holy and solely sent as mercy to humanity, but not for them prefer material insanity. Allah sees every action, transaction that is committed, and on the day arising, that day that will be submitted.
The book of life, the tribe, find a good life, don't get it tied, through fights, it's not tonight. All your actions are written down like a scripture, be careful of the shaitanic trickster.
In my book of life and these proceeds, practices, there's excess discrepancies, excess deficiencies for all the bad deeds committed and illustrated. I hope one day they may be omitted. For the too few good deeds that I have done, I hope they can be multiplicated by the ton. So I hope for salvation, not abomination from the Most High, Lord of creation. At least I need to decrease in ways of backbiting, need to increase in beneficial reciting. No doubt need to cut out profanity and vanity, increasing good deeds for spiritual prosperity.
The book of life, the tribe, find a good life, don't get it tied, through fights, it's not tonight. All your actions are written down like a scripture, be careful of the shaitanic trickster.
My heart's corrupted, demented, my heart is dark. I need to learn instant purification of the heart. I need to uplift my faith and Naman with Quran. I need to flex my humble, peaceful, more calm. I need to learn about the spectacular Rasulullah, make the Shifa and Sirah my extracurricular.
The book of life, all your good deeds and misdeeds proceeds to be recorded, written down and ordered until the day of judgment. The measurement will be precise, more accurate than accurate. He's the true perfectionist, and even at Adam's way, or good will be weighed, but consequently punishment's not withheld or delayed.
The book of life, the tribe, find a good life, don't get it tied, through fights, it's not tonight. All your actions are written down like a scripture. Be careful of the satanic trickster. The book of life, the strife, and the good life. Don't get inside, the fight, it's not tonight. All your actions are written down like a scripture. Be careful of the satanic trickster. The book of life, the strife, and the good life. Don't get inside, the fight, it's not tonight. All your actions are written down like a scripture. Be careful of the satanic trickster. The book of life, the strife, and the good life. Don't get inside, the fight, it's not tonight. All your actions are written down like a scripture. Be careful of the satanic trickster.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm going to do a poem from my new book, which is called Raki Nyas, Third Eye Open, and it's available on Amazon right now. The poem I'm going to do today is called Young Muslims. Bismillah. Young Muslims, you got to keep your head up. Stop watching the news, you'll get upset and fed up. You got to rise for the truth, you got to stand up. Work for humanity and give a hand up. Islam has been dragged through the dirt like an old rag, covered in mud like a worm deep in the ground. Terrorists in the midst trying to kidnap our name, committing evil acts, but we all get the blame. Islamophobia is on the rise like the new moon, but you need to stand firm like a mosque in a monsoon. Negativity in the air trying to consume, but we need to spread love like the best perfume. Young Muslims, you gotta keep your head up. Stop watching the news, you get upset and fed up. You gotta rise for the truth, you gotta stand up, work for humanity and give a hand up. Young Muslims, you got to keep your head up, because you are the future in this land, not the past. We got to break the spell cast by Islamophobia. Show the deen in its true light, a challenging plight. Don't give room to the bloodthirsty fanatics. Work for peace and love. That's the true mathematics. Focus on the deen, living clean and righteous. Be a role model for your friends and your neighbours. Young Muslims, you got to keep your head up. Stop watching the news, you get upset and fed up. You got to rise for the truth, you got to stand up. Work for humanity and bring a hand up. The devil's getting busy around the world spreading hate. We need to retaliate with the love brigade. The Prophet Muhammad was a man of love, not violence. He spoke with elegance, knowledge and eloquence. He taught us to be humble, move away from arrogance. He lived by example, set the true precedents. He taught Allah's mercy for all of mankind, sent the Prophet to the earth to teach and remind. Young Muslims, you got to keep your head up. Stop watching the news, you get upset and fed up. You got to rise for the truth, you got to stand up, work for humanity and give a hand up. Spread love, fly around the globe like a dove. Gather strength from the Lord above and spread love. Remember, humanity is one massive family. We need a strategy to spread love and unity. The world's a dark place, but Allah is the light. He sent the mercy to the world so we can soar high like a kite, teaching us manners and perfecting the character, increasing our knowledge by bringing the Holy Scripture. Young Muslims, you got to keep your head up. Stop watching the news, you get upset and fed up. You got to rise for the truth, you got to stand up, work for humanity and give a hand up. Quranic verses come alive when you recite. Quranic verses healing blindness with true sight. Quranic verses can give a believer wings. Quranic verses can change winter into spring. Quranic verses piercing the heart like a syringe. Young Muslims, you got to keep your head up. Stop watching the news, you get upset and fed up. You got to rise for the truth, you got to stand up, work for humanity and give a hand up. Alhamdulillah wal alameen. I'm Raki Nyas, aka Rakeen from Mecca to Medina. Peace and love to everybody out in ISNA. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Why would I do a CD called Confessions of a Muslim Comedian? And that was the idea of bringing entertainment to Muslims, for Muslims, about Muslims, but for everybody.
I got Dean in my life. Who is Dean? Don't you bring Dean around here.
You know how Muslims get you all hyped up? And he said, brother, you ready to be Muslim? I said, yeah. He said, you know what that means? I said, tell me, brother. He said, you ready to give up the swine? I said, yes, sir. I'm giving up the swine. He said, are you ready to give up the alcohol? I said, yes, sir. I'm ready to give up the alcohol. He said, you ready to give up the women? I said, yes, sir. I'm ready to give up the alcohol. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh, everybody. My name is Preacher Miles, OG Muslim comedian extraordinaire, but for this conference, better known as Mr. ISNA. I hope everybody's having a good time enjoying the conferences, seeing a lot of speakers, wishing you could be in the bazaar and buying stuff that you know you're not going to use when you get home. Let me give a shout out to ISNA, all the people who are working behind the scenes. I'm going to give a shout out to Bashar Salim, a shout out to Sister Tabassum, a shout out to my main man Haroon. Everybody's been pulling together, Brother Aziz, Sister Magda. I mean, this is the thing when you have conferences, brother, especially, you know, when it's virtual, when everybody's going to get dressed up to go in front of their computer or their phone. That's where we are right now, brothers and sisters. And I blame everything on COVID now. I feel like an old black man. That's what COVID has made me. Whenever something doesn't work out, I just blame it on COVID. Say, hey, the mail's late. The mailman got COVID. The car's not run. The car got COVID. That's the way I feel, you know, brothers and sisters. And it's reflective. Like, here I am. This happened to me. I don't know if this ever happened to you. But I've been Muslim well over 30 years now. And I actually had a brother come up to me recently and goes, have you thought about becoming a Muslim? I said, man, have you thought about not getting hurt? Asking stupid questions. And I thought about it, man. I said, you know, my reflection when I think about it, you know, I joined Islam when I took my Shahada. I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I took my Shahada, two things happened. Number one, I took it about 3 months ahead of when I thought I was going to take it. And then number two, I'm going to be honest, brothers and sisters. I can be truthful that, you know, I thought I was a Muslim by my own decree. I by my own decree. Like, I saw a Muslim, I was like, I can do that. You can't do that. You got to join. You have things you have to say. And the funny thing when I thought about it, man, when I took my Shahada, I just didn't know. I saw people who were cool that were using the language. I thought, you know, I use the language. I'll fit in. Do you know Muslim culture is the only one where you can say Assalamu alaikum and get a free meal? I'm serious. Before I was Muslim, I saw a Muslim picnic, didn't know anybody. I just saw people eating a lot of food, and I was like, Assalamu alaikum, like, brother, please eat. I'm like, this is the religion for me. But you know what? I will be honest, you know, when I decided to become Muslim, it was funny because I didn't know the whole protocol. Like, I didn't have the whole idea. Like, I went to a Jummah the week before I took my Shahada for like the first time, like really went there and was confused because I went up and I was like, yo, the first thought you think of when you walk into a masala as a person that's not a Muslim was, yo, where are the chairs? I was like, this is the religion of peace, but we are not the religion of sitting comfortably. And sat outside, and I realized that the chairs are there for the elderly. Shout out to my elder OG Muslim brothers and sisters. You should have a sign around those chairs that puts up the age requirement, because apparently to sit in this group of chairs, which I call the jury, to sit in this group of chairs, yeah, you have to be at least 127 years old to sit in the chair. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But now I digress. You know, the funny part is when you take your Shahada, nobody can really prepare you for what's going to happen. They tell you, is this going to happen? This happen? But until it happens, you know, so nobody prepared me. I was totally taken off guard, brothers and sisters. I'm going to tell you, I sat in the back, I listened to Juma, and then the brother says, we have somebody who wants to take his Shahada. And I was looking around. I didn't know it was me. I was like, who's going to do that? They were like, you. Oh, snap. I was not ready. I went up. I'm struggling with the Arabic. And then they tell me, you know, it's going to be English. I was like, okay, all right, alhamdulillah, all right. So that was one of my words, alhamdulillah. You know, and you have to say alhamdulillah because you could move, you know, you'd be poisoned by Disneyland. You say Hamdulillah. You know, you don't want to say that, Alhamdulillah. So I'm sitting up there in front of my people. These Muslims about to be my people, brothers and sisters. And I get through the Arabic. I'm nervous. I get through Arabic. I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm feeling good. I recite in English. I'm feeling really good. This way it gets a little dicey. Brothers come up. I'm used to giving brothers a pound. Hey, brother, how you doing? Brother hug me and kiss me. I was like, hey, 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 but I love you. He was like, I love you, brother. I was like, I don't know you like that. Take the strong like and back up. You know what I'm saying? But here was the killer part. Before we even get to that, as soon as I finished taking my shahada, some brother just randomly jumps up from the back of the mosque and goes, Takbir. And everybody else, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Allahu Akbar, Takbir, Allahu Akbar. First of all, I couldn't really hear it. So Takbir sounded more like, tacky beard. But I figured out it was important because they said Allahu Akbar. I figured that much out. And everybody's like, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And for a first timer, a Muslim rookie, I'm sitting here going, yo, that is amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, yo, if I stick in this religion long enough, one day, I'm going to get to be, wait for it, the takbir guy. So I waited like 2 years to be able to get my first takbir, brothers and sisters. I'm going to tell y'all something. I rushed it. I was at a khutbah, and I had in my mind that it's time for me to be the takbir guy, to initiate the takbir. Ironically, there is no hadith. I haven't found any hadith on being the takbir guy. No adab for being a takbir guy. I guess if the rhythm moves you, let it groove you. I guess that's what it is. That's my own hadith. I'm sitting here one day, I'm listening to the imam, and I'm like, the first thing that remotely removes my soul, I'm gonna yell takbir. That's it. I don't care I don't care who's thinking about takbir. I really want to stand up and go, hey, nobody's takbiring today except me. But I couldn't do that. But I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for the man to speak. The imam's going through, and I felt a little something that struck a chord with me. Your boy jumped up and I said, Takbir! And nobody said anything. And I'm sitting around looking like nobody's going to takbir me back, huh? Now you get one Allahu Akbar. Then you gotta takbir yourself. Allahu Akbar, takbir, Allahu Akbar, takbir, Allahu Akbar. But I realized, in my masjid, some of the brothers thought I was a little off. Not because I was a comedian. They thought I was stupid because I ironically took my shahada roughly about 2.5 weeks before Ramadan. And you can hear him yelling takbir, but you can hear in the back like he should have held on that 2 weeks, but he's going to die. I love Muslim holidays. I love the whole story behind Eid al-Adha. I love the whole story behind Eid al-Fitr. Because Eid al-Fitr is like a hood story. It's like something you can relate to. Like a brother explained it to me, and it was so relevant. I love the story. He said, hey, brother, Ramadan is coming up. You're going to be fasting for 30 days. I was like, yo, I got that. I got that much. He goes, no, you don't understand. This is a time to get your affairs in order. I'm like, I hear you, brother. He said, no, you don't understand. This is what got me. He goes, for 30 days, Shaitan is going to be locked up. And I'm like, Shaitan got locked up? He was like, word. He locked him for 30 days. I'm like, he got 30 days? I'm like, man, Allah's powerful. Only Allah could lock up Shaitan for 30 days. But then your mind is thinking, Allah put a restraining order on Shaitan for 30 days. And then I'm starting laughing. Your mind's going all over the place. And I was thinking, because we think of so many things in human terms, not so much in the terms that Allah gives it. We think in our terms. I'm thinking Allah has locked up Shaitan. It almost like, yo, Shaitan got 30 days. Wouldn't it be funny if he had to try and get bail? Think about this. Shaitan is trying to get bail. First of all, how much is the bail going to be? And even if he got bail, who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? You just calling up people randomly. Ring, ring. Hello? Who's this? It's Shay. Shay who? Shay Shay. Shay Shay who? Shaitan. Didn't I tell you not to call the house? Don't call me here. And your wife is on the who's on the phone? I'm like, it's for you. But I think about this all the time, brothers and sisters. You know, Ramadan was a beautiful period, but you need to let a lot of folks know because, you know, my first couple of Ramadans, I was on the road as a comedian and didn't necessarily know all the protocols. Like I would break my fast with a Snickers because I didn't know. You know, I break my fast with a old Henry, not old Henry, but like a Mr. Goodbar. I didn't know. Whatever it is, I would sit there looking at the sun, didn't even think about looking at the paper when the sun goes down. I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm going to eat as soon as the sun goes down, man. And then one brother came to me and said, man, you don't know about iftar? I was like, no, I don't really know about iftar. I took my shot. I've been traveling. He goes, no. He goes, this is what you do. You're in town this week? I said, yeah. He said, you go to this address, this mosque right here. You tell them you're a new Muslim and they're going to take care of you. I really? He said, yeah. I said, man, bet. So here we are, brothers and sisters, rolling along. Sundown's coming. I'm like, I'm going to get the way I need to be. I get to this masjid. I walk in. There's a young there's an older Pakistani brother. He's standing there. I'm like, hey, I'm a new Muslim. I'm here for iftar. He's like, okay, you stay right there. Man, iftar came. This brother gave me a date and just walked away. I was like, yo, I hope this is not it. I hope there's some, because if this is it, I'm not going to make it 30 days. In fact, come on, man, we got to step our game up, Muslims. I mean, Jesus had the Last Supper. This is ridiculous. But then you learn, okay, you're gonna eat your food and things like that. But I mean, I think about it as well. And in the news, we have so many things going on. And I want to give a shout out to the victims of the earthquake in Haiti. I want to give a shout out to, of course, all the humanitarian aid and people doing good things in Afghanistan, trying to help our folks. You know, but don't worry about Afghanistan, you know, because Muslims, we've been cruising for a little bit with COVID. You know, people haven't been blaming us and stuff. For now, we're going to get blamed for Afghanistan and anything else that doesn't work in terms of U.S. policy. That's what I believe. Okay, I'll leave it alone, man. You know, but I have to say, man, when people want to do things that are weird or negative, they always try to pull Muslims in. Like you have a lot of people that don't want to take the vaccine. I'm not going to get into a case about whether they take the vaccine or not. That's your own personal decision. But I have to admit that they have some people who are actually dressing up like Muslims so that to get the vaccine so their friends don't know that they took the vaccine. Is that ridiculous? You have people who are faking Muslim to get the vaccine just so their friends don't know that they. And I mean, they're coming up, man. They're not even remotely close to Muslim. Mispronouncing basic first names. You got women coming up. What's your name? I'm here for the vaccine. I'm like, okay, what's your name? My name is Fat Emma. Do you mean Fatima? No, Fat Emma. Could you spell it? F-A-T, first name, last name, E-M-M-A, Fat Emma. I was like, yo, we got another Fat Emma here. They're going to be some Karens that hate that joke. But I tell folks, man, you know, Muslims, you know, smile a little bit, enjoy yourself a little bit. And I'm thinking about this. I think about it all the time, man. We don't smile enough, man. You know, we are a very adaptive culture. You know how many Muslims got married during the COVID period? Like Muslims marry. I don't care. You know what? If it was not an internet or social media or anything like Zoom or StreamYard, Muslims would still be getting married. They'd be writing letters. They would be writing letters. They don't care because that's what we do. That's our culture. And I tell folks, you know, I joke. My brother said, well, can you give me some advice on marriage? And I said, absolutely, brother. Don't do it. Don't. You're happy now. Don't do it. Stay at your mother's house another 35 years and work it out. No. But you know what? It's funny because I say that and people go, oh, preaching that. I'm not, man. I am not, man. I'm pro-marriage, you know. Pro-marriage, meaning man marries woman. I am 100% down. So, as we begin to move forward, let me throw this one out too, brothers and sisters. There are people who really, really, really still, after all these years after 9/11, they still don't understand this religion. They don't understand the religion. I don't like, how can you have every surveillance system in the world still don't understand how Muslims operate? Like, how do we make this stuff happen? And Muslims, I have to say this too. Stop copying bad habits. Please stop copying bad habits. This is what I mean. I'm sitting in a hotel room. I'm watching TV. I realize in America, even before COVID, but especially during COVID, America has a very, very distinct problem with working their problems out, talking their problems out. So they always wind up in litigation, always wind up in court. In America, they have all kind of court shows. They have People's Court, they have Animal Court, they got Divorce Court, they got all these court shows. Judge Joe Brown, Judge Mathis, Judge Maybelline, Judge Judy. They got all these court shows, brothers and sisters. And I'm like, yo, Muslims, please don't get a court show, because you know what they're going to call a Muslim court show, a Muslim TV court show. You know what they're going to call it, Sharia court. And I am 100% against a Muslim Sharia court unless they let me be the judge. That's right. Because if you come in my courtroom and I'm the judge, you're never going to want to be in my courtroom again. I'm here to tell you. You know why? Because everybody's going to get time that day. I don't care what it is you did. You're getting 25 years in prison. Let me reenact. Court's in session. Presiding the Honorable OG Muslim comedian Preacher Moss. All rise. Have a seat. The bell is going from first case. Your Honor, I got caught drinking. 25 years. Next case. Your Honor, I missed Fajr. 25 years. Next case. Your Honor, you don't remember me? Who are you? I'm the man that introduced you to your wife. Death. Okay, some people are like, that's not funny. Let me tell you something. All you brothers that are married out there, let me tell you something. Your marriages are not sticking together just because of you. Your wife has a sense of humor. It started before you got married, brothers. It started before you got married. When the woman you love introduced you to her family, don't think it was all smooth. She had to do some sale tactics for you to get into the marriage. I just say, because every woman, when she sees the man she wants to marry, when she introduces that idea to her family, I'm just going to say, I'm not saying she lies about it. I'm saying she's exaggerated. She makes you a little bit more than you actually are. She builds you up. That's the way it is. Families want to hear about culture and good jobs. You know how that is. I'm going to tell you something. She exaggerates. Like for her, if you could plug something into a wall socket and not get electrocuted, to that woman, doggone it, you an engineer. If you could take a pill and not choke yourself, you were a pharmacist. If you could diagnose that you had a headache, you're a doctor. Now I'm here to tell you, that all worked out. My wife, she got so excited with me, she forgot I was black. Yeah. I showed up to meet that family board. They stared at me like I was the second coming of the Mississippi Masala. They were like, ugh. But I bring this up, brothers and sisters, because I'm talking about Muslim culture here on ISNA 2020 virtual convention. You know what it is, brothers and sisters? This is funny. It might not be that serious. It's not that, funny, but this is serious. That we got to support Muslim artists. We do. We got to support Muslim artists because Muslim artists are like, yo, I can't make any money with the Muslim community doing halal stuff. So I'm doing Muslim comedy just to let people know that halal is back. And halal is back. It's not whack, and sometimes it looks black. Okay. So here's my thing too, man, brothers and sisters. There's no experience that you can have that's more engaging than being Muslim. Case in point, when you take your shahada and you become a convert, you basically are a storyteller for all the people around you. Everybody, when you're a convert, and they know this, you always have to have a convert story in your back pocket. You always have to have a convert story in your back pocket. Now, I don't mind having a convert story for brothers and sisters. I don't. My problem is nobody wants to hear a happy convert story. Every convert story darn near has to be tethered with some type of tragedy that you were going through. You were depressed, you were sad, you got out of jail. No. Sometimes convert stories are just a reflection of the fact that you made a good decision. Islam was a good business decision for your life. I remember telling one brother, he was like, "You're a convert?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Brother, well, please tell us your convert story." I was like, "Sure. Here's the deal. I was about to graduate college." He was like, "Wait a minute. You went to college?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, this story gonna stink." He said, No, I'm sorry, brother. Continue. I was like, "Yeah." So I'm sitting at home having dinner with my mom and dad. He's like, "Wait a minute." He knows who his dad is. And then I realized that this brother did not want to hear a happy convert story. So, to make him feel better about himself and me at the same time, I decided to give him a dark convert story. Not necessarily mine, but one that would satisfy his thirst, if you will. So I looked at him and I said, "Well, brother, do you really want to hear my convert story?" He goes, "Yes." I said, "It was a very, very dark day." And the more I said dark, the more he was like, "Yes, alhamdulillah, yes, alhamdulillah." I said, "It was a dark day." He says, "Yes." I said, "I was 3 years old." He goes, "Yes." I said, I was on heroin." He goes, "Yes." I was like, "Bro, he's 3 years old. Yo, let it go." But I'm going to say this and then I'm going to let you guys go. Relax a little bit. Relax a little bit. I could tell right now, I tell jokes all the time and I have people trail me around. People wait for me to tell a joke that they can get upset about and put out on the blogs and the social medias, which is kind of crazy. Every town has them. I'm sure we're going to have them on the virtual conference. I call them the haram police. They are the people that are looking for something haram so they can harass you. It's haram so they can harass. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like I could say something right now and on virtual, I could say something right now on virtual and the haram police will show up at my door. Yes, they will show up at my door and you can hear them from 3.5 blocks away because the sirens sound like this. Oh, astaghfirullah. Oh, astaghfirullah. And they show up and I'm about to take off running. They start shooting at me. The guns sound like this. Bidda, 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 bidda. I get arrested. I'm in Sharia court. The judge is like, "Preacher Moss, I find you guilty of making Muslims laugh on purpose. Before we send you away, I sent you to 25 years. Is there anything you'd like to say to the courtroom?" I'm like, "Yeah, Your Honor. You got the COVID?" Listen, you guys have been great. Enjoy the rest of this convention. Thank you so much for supporting us, supporting Muslim lifestyle and legacy. I'm Preacher Moss, OG Muslim comedian, but you could call me Mr. ISNA. Talk to you soon. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Halal comedy is back. It's not whack. And sometimes it looks like a good Muslim that's black. I'm out.
Welcome to the 58th Annual ISNA Convention. Reimagine and rebuild with renewed resolve.